inglés, cualquier cosa de pronto que no entiendan. También música y lo que nos gusta en común, pues en tanto Helena y nosotros como Move. Entonces, bueno, ya.
So yeah, let's get started with some of the music you love and maybe a couple of details and words about each record, please.
Okay. Before we start, I want to make sure this is not a lecture. I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
This is just like a conversation. And yeah, it's some electro and really talented young new producer.
Yeah, that makes me think in a question, like how you started with your label, like.
I started in 2015, I think, and I didn't actually think about having a label because there's so many great labels out there, and I was like, there's really any need for another label. And then I met a couple of people, Children of Leia and Mora, and they both sent me some music, and they were like, yeah, oh, we don't know where to release it on, and it was like, this is fantastic. I'm just.
Is it mostly like demos you get sent, or you just contact the people, or how do you do it for your label?
It's mainly, it's basically people that contact me either via email or people that I've met in clubs or friends or something like that, and because I.
Well, did you start collecting records around the same time as your first time raving, or it's something like?
Yeah, I started going to clubs, and that's when I kind of got into the whole electronic music thing. The first thing I ever bought was a CD by Radioactive Man. That was actually before I started clubbing, and it was the very, very first time I went into a record shop. And there's this one of my favorite labels.
Oh yeah, Cultivated Electronics.
Cultivated Electronics, and this one is Sing 24, the guy who runs the label, together with Alinata.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
Yeah, Lenata came here in Medellin. Was a great party.
She's a fantastic DJ.
Yes.
So, yeah. So it's good to see her getting into
I think a lot of
production as
people
well.
that are here.
Helena, when did you realize or when you intended to become a DJ?
It's probably around 2007 when I first started going to clubs, and I really enjoyed the whole DJ culture and seeing the DJ play spin records and dancing and the whole everything around the social aspect of it as well. I was really intrigued by it, and that's probably when I realized that I wanted to be a DJ, and then it took another couple of years till I actually started collecting records and making music and DJing. So that was in late 2008, early 2009.
So it was never really like a proper plan, just like some sort of evolving thing from going to the raves and then wanting to share music, something like that?
I had a goal that was playing in this very, very small bar close to where and I didn't think I was going to end up doing a lecture in Colombia. But yeah, I didn't really have a master plan or anything. I just went along with it. I just really enjoyed it, and I loved it so much that I couldn't stop, and I never did. Yeah.
Have you heard, now you mentioned Colombia, have you heard before something about our scene or some of our artists, or maybe something that happened here?
Not really, till we've had our interview with DJ Mark. This is like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yes,
2
2 years ago, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, you did one of your BBC radio shows, you know, the DJ that have this chance to travel a lot. You only have this opportunity to choose.
Before I go, I spend a lot of time, sometimes like 6, 7, 8 hours packing my record bag and making sure that I really know what's in there so I can really work with it. And I know the B-sides and the A-sides and everything. And for this tour, I actually brought a second record bag, so I've got a little bit more to choose from. But sometimes you end up not having the right records in your bag. You know, you're ending up playing after someone playing really slow or really fast, and you thought it was going to be different, and so you have to work with what you've got, really. And sometimes it's a good thing, but sometimes it's a bit like you wish you had different things in your bag. But I do enjoy it because and something that seems to fit at the time, but then you think like, oh, this was a boring set because you just ended up playing the techno or something. I can't do that. I will have to play everything that's in my bag. When I travel with just one record bag and I play for 3 hours, I pretty much play every record. So at some point I will have to go into the weird, hard electro, even if it doesn't really seem to be right, but then I think it's actually probably a good thing, so yeah.
Maybe just play another record?
Yeah. I'm thinking about this it's a label called Industrial Strength. It's from the 90s, and it's kind of like a hardcore sometimes.
So, like, we know you're not very fond of technology and like internet and for finding your records.
It's happening, and sometimes I think it's a little bit of a waste of intelligence when those people that create this unnecessary technology could actually spend their time and their energy, and they're a bit boring. And yeah, I do use the internet for finding records. I love going to record shops, and I think it's really nice to have the interact from one thing to another and you find out some new things, but like it's very much on the surface of things. So to find the really rare stuff, sometimes you actually need a friend or another person to say like, oh, I found this record in a record shop, you might like it, you know. It's crazy stuff. But I do like the internet, and I buy a lot from Discogs. Of course, they've got pretty much all the different genres covered, from jazz to funk to psychedelic rock to electronic stuff. And sometimes you find really, really nice things there, because not so many people go in there for the electronic things. Oh, that's the next track, actually. There is a shop called Record. Again, new and old stuff, a little bit of everything. And then we've got Smallville, which, they've been going for a long time, and I actually got into clubbing with them because they used to put on really great nights in Hamburg, and their label nights, and Smallville and Dial Records, and I used to go to those and met a lot of good friends and started DJing.
Awesome. I was wondering what kind of music will...
But I never really got into it in the way that I know much about it. So it's one of those things I would probably end up dancing to, or, you know, being in the car.
We knew, like, you were part of a project called Hypnobeat. Hypnobeat is good.
Hypnobeat, yeah.
I pronounce it bad these days. Like, how do you end in being part of it, and how was like the, you know?
It was in, this guy, Peter Weiss, or he DJs under the name James Dean Brown. He started this project in, I think, 1983. 1984 was the first release, I think, on a cassette. And 2013, I released my first record, Actio Reactio, on work discs. So we ended up doing this drum machine live thing. And
workflow.
We were talking a little bit, and then we said like, okay, we're going to be in Paris, and we said like, yeah, let's try doing something together, and decided what machines we were going to use, and talked a little bit about like how to connect them and what to use and whatever. We've never met before, we've never played before, and
it's only improvisation. For
it was improvised. Williams, so good guy. I don't really know what to. I'm just gonna play the first one.
So Helena, we read that you're not really like doing back-to-back sometimes, but you have done a couple of them. What you don't like of them, and when you do it, what's the reason for doing this kind of thing?
Well, the thing with playing back to back, weird when you've never met before and you don't really get on and you don't have anything to say to each other, and then you have to play back to back, and it's like weird. Then also, I think people don't really want to take risks. They don't want to throw the other person off, so you end up playing a lot of very, very small setting in a very small club. But if it's in a bigger place or on a massive stage in front of like 5,000 people, it being really chaotic is not necessarily a good thing. So I only do it when I have a really good feeling with the person that I think like musically we get on. There is, we have a lot of things in
DJ Stingrays, and how was it, and how was your friendship with him? You know,
the best DJs in the world, and it was okay, but we had trouble with the turntables, so it was a bit.
Yeah, and actually, how you deal with that? And it's not very easy to find like great setups in any venues.
I mean, there are different things that can happen. It's either the turntable itself is thing to put underneath the turntables to get rid of the feedback. I sometimes put half-empty water bottles underneath the feet, and that can solve the problem. But then sometimes you have to get on with it and talk to the sound guys and try to find a solution. And sometimes it's a mess. But I think the longer I've been doing this for, the more I know what to look out for, how to solve problems, and also I feel like sound guys take a little bit more care of it because they know I only play vinyls, so they're not like, yeah, I don't have a backup plan, so they know they have to get it right. I don't know, one of my favorite records. Like all of the tracks on there, I just.
So one more question. Like, you have a pretty busy schedule.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of studio time. I don't have to do this, and then you just end up going out, meeting your friends, doing other things. I don't know, and then that can actually help when you're like, okay, I've only got one day. I really want.
Por si quieren pensarle mientras.
Another record coming out on my label, so the LFT one, and after that it's gonna be Amato. This is the Hacker, but his other
Awesome.
with an Umwelt remix.
Yeah, cool.
So that one's like really cool. And then I want to release a record by myself on my label. So that's gonna happen hopefully in a few months. And I put in, and it's always different, and there is something that makes things a little bit more, sometimes a little bit more interesting, because you get really stuck in your own ways, and when you end up working with somebody else, they have like new ideas, and you end up seeing things from a different perspective. And so I do like working with people sometimes.
Like now he's getting like little more recognition, but he's from the 90s.
He's like a machine, you know. He just he's fantastic. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna up. Okay, wait. ¿Cuál es?
What do you think about the role of women in music industry right now after 2 years of doing it?
You want? Can you want?
Music industry after 2 years of your interview.
The Colombian. Oh, doing stuff, and it seems like, but it seems like people are more aware of the thing, of the problem, and it seems like we do get a little bit more respect, because I always found like I never actually personally found it hard to do things and get into it. I never really struggled with that. I didn't think I didn't have any opportunities, but I felt like when I ended up.
Siguiente, ¿tú quieres? ¿Quién sigue?
I am a rookie production. Give her an advice, please.
My favorite machine?
Yeah, or a sub or instrument.
Yeah, but like probably if you have any advice about this machine.
Oh, and it's like you can use any old crap to make music, and if you want to work with a computer, you work with a computer. You can do great things with it. I feel like it's more of you have to find a machine or a way of working that really suits you. So you have to probably experiment with a few things and find out what can probably be quite helpful at the beginning of making music. But besides that, I don't really have any advice, but just like use what.
Hello. You used to play a lot of Drexilla and all to find a little bit more about like all this stuff.
Specialized in mathematics and physics, and I, besides going to school, I went to it's an electrons. What's the particle accelerator? There is like this big thing in Hamburg, the DAISY it's called, and I used to do not work there, but I did like some. I took and I loved the music, but I also noticed the titles, and I was already into physics, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. So they.
What do you inspire you in the beginning when you start to play in or to learn to play in that bar, or how? Yeah.
I was fascinated by the whole DJ culture and the scene, and I was also obsessed with turntables, and I bought two Technics turntables, and I work with them pretty much every day, and I remember when I first got them, I couldn't take my hand, obsessed with it. And then also the music itself, finding out about all the great music out there that I've never heard before, and it was just like a world opening up. I was like, so the social aspect I really enjoyed. So I really enjoyed meeting like-minded people, and out of a sudden I felt like I didn't feel so alone anymore. I mean, it sounds like a bit weird, but you know, meeting all those fantastic. I love the technology, the turntables, the working with it, and also the drinking. That was also like enjoyed that one as well. Yeah.
Do you have a special way to organize your record collection at home?
Yeah, I do. It's all over the floor, like lying around, and I need to move to a bigger place. I don't know. I'm really terrible with it. It's just like I know where the things are, and if someone comes in and sorts things out for me and puts them into boxes and into shelves, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So like the way it's all lying around on the floor is like my way of working. I really need that. I'm crawling over the floor, like getting the records.
¿Qué te inspiras para producir?
I want to do something with a similar sound, and then I try to recreate that sound, and it never sounds like that, and a bit of space, and yeah, it's hard to say. I don't really really know, but I think it's other people's music that I try to recreate, and then I never sound like that, but it's a good starting point when you hear a track and you think like, oh, I want to make a bass line that's
Areas which contains 4 tracks or four of our artists. So I hope we
Thank
hope
you
you like
so
it.
much. Brilliant, thank you.
And I'm going to speak in Spanish, sorry. Del sello, para los que nos respondan unas preguntas aquí, pues así como, ¿cómo hacemos?
La primera pregunta es, ¿cuál es el sello de Helena?
Bueno, la segunda es ¿cuál es el club en el que ella fue residente en Hamburgo? Pues dígala.
No, but I don't think I was ever really a resident, because there are so many people involved, and it's not like a residency somewhere else where you play every Friday or something. It's just like probably. More like maybe 100, you know, like, and you just call the main booker and say, like, oh, do you have like a date in a couple of months? I would like to invite someone else from Berlin, or I don't know.
Okay.
And then you get a date.
Bueno, y ya los pases dobles, lo que va a ser mañana, recuerden que empezamos temprano, a las 8, vamos a estar Retrograde Youth y yo pues como comenzando la noche, Helena se monta temprano, se monta a las 11, así que vayan, los esperamos, gracias por venir a todos, thank you so much.